Okay, so good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday and happy first day of Navaratri. So we have entering in tonight. Usually the celebration is done in the evening. So it's actually tonight is the first night of Navaratri, but 9 nights, 9 days celebrated to the goddess or celebrating the goddess being the one that comes into the world and takes the chaos that's happening and starts to turn it back into its natural state. Right, starts to take it back into a state of productivity, back into a state of peace, back into a state of everything being what it was really intended to be. Right, so all of the stories is they tend to center around Durga as being the primary energy because she's the one who slays the demons. Right, she's the one who carries all of the tools, all of the weapons, and so when nobody knows what to do, right, all the gods and everybody else are confused about what to do. The world is in too much chaos. They can't handle it. So what do? They call Durga. They call their mom and they say, can you please handle this? And her answer is always 100% of the time, yes. Right. And this is our number one teaching of the goddess, is that she will come whenever she's called, right? That energy that exists in us. And this is a, second teaching of the goddess, is that the energy that is Durga, the energy that is that ability to turn chaos into peace, is in us already, right? But we have to call on it because our normal regular activity of our mind is part of that spinning chaos, right? It's doing something else and it says, I can't find my way out. I can't find my way out. I'm stuck in whatever I'm stuck in and I cannot find my way out. I'm in this battle, right? Can't get out. So you call on something that is beyond that and says, can you remind me how to take this chaos and turn it back into peace? Right? So all the stories are about Durga or versions of Durga stepping in to restore that sense of clarity to the world, right? To destroy what has gone amok. Right? But it's meant for us to be in awareness that it's not somebody else coming in and doing the work for us. That it's you reaching deep past that point where you are so stuck in your own mind that you can't find the way out of that. It's reaching for something that is bigger than that, more loving than that is already in you. It says, this is how I transform it, right? So when we talk about Durga or we talk about the slaying of the demons, is remember that the demons are not being destroyed. They're being turned back into what they were always intended to be, right? They're coming back into clarity. They're waking up from their insanity, put it that way. Is that that's what she does. Through love, she wakes us up from our insanity, wakes us up from our neurosis, wakes us up from where we've gone chaotic. And that allows us to go back to knowing how to live in a peaceful way, knowing how to exist in a peaceful way. Right? So it's a great time to be looking at your own inner battles, right? The places where you get stuck over and over again in the same conversations, the same thought patterns, the same painful interactions. And to recognize that it's the energy within you that you bring to those interactions that keeps them in a state of conflict. Right? That you have the capacity in you to turn that chaos into peace. Right? So that's what we're practicing when we are celebrating Navaratri. That's what we're looking for, is that knowledge that when we reach for something that is beyond the way that we already think about something, and we reach for it in that loving way, because the goddess is always the loving energy. She's never angry. She's a loving energy. So when we reach for that as the solution, the highest solution, then any chaos that exists is able to start to transform back to what it was always intended to be, which is peace. So you have to believe, though, you have to call on this. You have to know that it's you that has the ability to do it. You call on a name that sounds like it's outside of you, and it wakes up what's necessary in you to do the work, right? So comfortable seat. Let the eyes close. And sometimes that's where we stop. We're like, no, I really want someone else to do it. So you use the names, right? You use the names to say, I'm imagining that it's Durga on her lion that is going to do this for me. I imagine that it's Lakshmi that's going to do this. I imagine that it's Saraswati that's going to do this. You can pretend that those energies are outside of you, but they will move through your life the way you allow them to and the way that you empower them to. So with the eyes closed, find your breath going a little deeper down into your belly. And just feeling the activity of your mind, not the definition of what all the thoughts are there. Don't start labeling what's going on, but just feel the energy of your mind, fast or slow. Feels like chaos, feels like peace, feels like it's still asleep. It's got remnants of angry, sad, stressed. Just feel it for a moment, the weight of your mind. And as though your breath is like a wind that moves through that space. Every breath you inhale and you allow that to move through the space of your mind, clearing a little path. So every breath is an opportunity to feel the mind getting more expansive. And even if that clearing that little path on the exhale, everything just closes back in, that's fine. You breathe again. And without labeling what is there in the mind, you just keep feeling the energy of it. And now as you're breathing, each breath cuts a little path. Riding on that breath is the energy of, I love this mind. And if love is too strong of a word, I accept this mind. There's kindness towards this mind that's struggling. So you're injecting with every breath that subtle energy of loving kindness. It's beyond what any version of the goddess does. The energy that she carries is that. It's the eternally loving mother. So when we invite that into our own mind, transformation begins. Take one more breath with that, whatever it feels like. And as you exhale, bring the hands together at the heart center, palm to palm. And we'll open with the sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys, you can release your hands. And then go ahead and find your way forward onto hands and knees. We often talk about Navaratri and we go really heavy into that idea that now's the time to transform. Now's the time to change your habits. Now's the time to do all this stuff and, cut everything away and change. And we forget that the purpose of that is to come back into alignment with a loving relationship with ourselves. So on hands and knees, do just a little bit of cat and cow to warm up the spine. So again, taking those inhales nice and long, lifting the chest and the tail, exhaling, pressing down into the hands to round into the back. And maybe you keep a little portion of your mind that says every breath is still that opportunity to just be that little breeze that moves through your mind. So instead of it being, I have to change the thoughts that are in my mind, I have to know what they are and then battle them, is I can actually just keep injecting this loving kindness and allow the thoughts that are there to transform in relation to that love or relation to that friendship or relation to that acceptance. Again, whatever word makes the most sense to you, feels the most possible for you. Even if it's just neutral, right? I feel like we always have to give ourselves that gradient. It says if love feels like it's too much for parts of your mind, go to neutral. Right? I have neutral reaction to that part of my mind that's struggling. I can just observe it. And I can still let that breath be something that interjects space. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Anything that you do during Navaratri, if it is not with the intention or in the direction of finding a loving relationship with yourself, is it's likely to keep you locked in more battles, right? And Durga is the one that says that there's a moment where you have to realize that you're not in the conflict to fight. You're there to resolve. And being there to resolve is different than trying to win. So one more full deep breath in your down dog, not trying to win this pose, but trying to find the greatest peace in this pose. Good. And then step your right foot forward between the hands, please. Nice. Take both hands inside your front foot. Walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat. Turn your toes. Prasarita Padottanasana. Turn wide legs. Good. Come up on the balls of your feet. Let your weight fall into your hands just a little bit more. So as you lift your heels up off the floor, so really squeeze the legs in and up. Good. And then letting the elbows bend, dropping the head, dropping the heart just a little more. Really good. And then let your heels come back down towards the floor. Keep that squeeze of the legs. Nice. And then turn your right toes out halfway, so to 45 degrees. And then bend that knee into a side lunge. Keep your hands centered, so don't walk towards that foot. Good. Keep your hands centered. Widen that right inner knee, so you're drawing that right butt cheek under. Tail drops towards the floor just a little bit. Good. Press into the big toe mound, baby toe mound of the foot. Beautiful. Excellent, you guys. And then straighten that leg, turning the right toes all the way forward. Turn the left toes out halfway. Good. 45 degrees. Bend the knee, drop into that side lunge there. So again, getting into the groins here, widening the inner knee. Good. Again, dropping that left butt cheek under. So there is a little bit of that rolling under of the sit bones. I'm not going to say tucking your tail, but there's an angling the tailbone down. Good. Press into the baby toe edge of that extended foot, right foot. Excellent. And then come back to center, please, turning your left toes forward. This time, turn your right toes all the way to the top of your mat. Bend the knee. Walk your hands towards the inside of that front foot. Good. Keep the back heel rooted. Nice. Make sure that knee is moving all the way over the ankle. So again, take yourself there. Get the legs to really wake up. And then press through the baby toe of the back foot. Good. Press that right forearm up against your right shin and then take your left arm up to the sky. If you need a block underneath your hand, make sure you have that. Good. So you're pushing down through the hand, widening through that shoulder. So draw back and then left arm up, 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 reach. Beautiful. And then stretch the left arm over the ear, please. Extend, lift your hips just slightly higher. Yes. Really nice. And then release those hands down to the floor, please. Spin your back heel up, drop the back knee. Both hands are still inside that front foot. Start to circle that hip. Yep, hip circles in your lunge. Nice, you guys. Good. And then find yourself coming back to stillness, please. Knee is over the ankle. Flex that right foot a lot. Let your knee start to drop wide. Come onto the baby toe. And then walk your hands forward and maybe towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat if you'd like. Good. Come on down to your forearms if that's available. And if not, stay where you are. Of course, you can use blocks underneath the hands. Nice, you guys. Pressing into that back knee, feel a little lift of the outer left hip. So it's your back hip. Good. So you push your left hip wide. And again, you can get that sensation of drawing that right butt cheek under and then lift your chest a little higher because you've wrapped that sit bone under. Nice, you guys. Good. And Durga is number one, the energy that says the most important thing you will ever do is to actually just stand up and confront what is inside of you. Not that you have to win or defeat it or change it, but just to really notice it for what it is. She says that's the courage. That's what we're aiming for with that Durga energy is, can I really look honestly at what is in my mind, see it for what it is, and instead of judging it, can I meet it with that acceptance? Can I meet it with love? Can I meet it with a resolve to find peace? And then whatever I have to do to create that peace with that piece of myself, willing to do it. That's the courage. Walk yourself all the way back in. Please take that right foot flat to the floor. Nice job. Lift that back knee. Step yourself back to downward facing dog. Good. Pedal your feet. So alternating, pressing one heel towards the floor as you bend the opposite knee. Good. This is a big one for how we confront or how we deal with any conflict in our lives, either internal or external, right? It's the mindset that you go in. If you go in trying to win, you're going to create pain for yourself or someone else. If you go in trying to resolve, how do I find peace, even if it's not convenient for me? that peace will be attained. Let your heels reach for the floor, steady your legs. Nice. And then step your left foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good, both hands come inside the front foot, walk to your right, come to the center of your mat, turn your toes, Prasarita Vadakanasana. Good. I know, it's still 8:20 in the morning. Right and left don't have any meaning. Come up on the balls of your feet, lift your heels. Good, letting the weight fall forward towards the hands. So you really let the weight of your hips move forward. And then squeeze the legs in. Pull the thighs up, up, up. Nice, Janelle. Good, and then keep your hips lifted. Let your heels come back down towards the floor, but keep that squeeze of the legs. Excellent. Nice, you guys. And then turn your left toes out halfway, 45 degrees. Bend the knee, come into that side lunge again. This time, keeping your hands center. All right, squeeze the legs towards each other. Again, wrapping that left butt cheek under. Opportunity, stretch your arms out wide, letter T. So hover, torso parallel to the floor. Really nice. So really getting the legs to hug and squeeze in towards the pelvis. Excellent. Release the hands down, please. Straighten that left leg. Turn your left toes forward. Still in the wide legs. And then turn the right toes out to halfway towards the back of your mat. Bend that knee. If your knee cannot come over your ankle, that means your legs are too wide. So you got to bring your legs in a little bit. Good. And then again, opportunity, wrap that right sit bone under, widen that right inner knee. So you're pulling the thigh wide away from the pelvic bone. And then stretch the arms out wide, torso parallels the floor. And again, you can keep hands on the ground here if lifting the arms doesn't make any sense. Or maybe you lift one arm, lift the back of your throat. Nice, Andy, you got it, Virginia. Really good. Nice, Lisa. Nice, Faith. And then release the hands, please. Straighten the legs. Turn the right toes forward again. Good. Deep breath. And then turn your left toes all the way towards the top of your mat. Good. Bend that knee. Walk your hands towards the inside of your left foot. So your legs are in warrior two, but your hands are on the floor. Good. Bring that left shoulder up inside your left knee. Left forearm up against your left shin. So you're still widening the knee, drawing your left butt cheek back and in. And then take your right arm up to the sky. Good. So again, I want that action of really pressing wide through the inner thigh, but drawing in through the sit bone. So you're really drawing the thigh bones into the hip socket and squeeze the legs. Good. Again, imagining here that if I asked you to hold no weight on that bottom hand, you could do it. Good. Yeah. Right arm comes over the ear. Nice, you guys. Really good. And then release the hand down to the floor, please. Good. Spin that back heel up, drop the back knee. Keep both hands inside the front foot. Start to circle your hips, so hip circles. Nice. Really good, you guys. You're moving in the way that makes the most sense to your pelvis. That is the point of hip circles, not just to do them, but to do it in a way where you actually feel that you are making space in your pelvis. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Knee over the ankle, and then flex that left foot, drop onto the baby toe, let your knee go wide. Good. And then walk your hands forward any amount, maybe towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Good. You can drop down to your elbows, your forearms here if you'd like. You can use blocks underneath the arms. Beautiful. And then don't forget that you have a back leg here. So as much as there is weight moving into the front leg, you have a second leg that really is the one that needs to be bearing more of the weight. So root down through that back knee. Feel a little lift of the front of your pelvis so you're not just collapsing in your lower back. And then push your right outer hip wider to the right. It's your back hip. Good. And by lifting and widening your right hip, you actually have more space to wrap that left sit bone under. So try to do that. It's a little lift of your front belly and then dropping your tail, wrap it under, and then lift your chest up just a little bit more. Nice. Good, you guys. Excellent. Whatever comes up in your mind, because this is the thing, is when we work really consciously or we're working hard, is that all of the things buried in our mind start to come forward, right? When you're the most stressed, when you're the most pushed to your edges, the things that are buried, your defense mechanisms start to come up. And then we see them and it's like, you know, you turn the light on and the cockroaches run. You're like, ah, like, oh God, what just came into my mind? What's there all the time? You just noticed it. So don't worry about what comes up. Just keep noticing it and letting the breath be what helps cut through whatever that oppressive weight feels like. Maybe it's not oppressive, it just feels like weight. Good. Walk yourself back up onto your hands. Take that foot flat. Beautiful. Lift the back knee, please. Step back to downward facing dog. Good. Pedal your feet. Again, alternating one heel, pressing down. Excellent. Good. And then steady your heels towards the floor, please. Take your right leg up and back behind you. Down dog split. Extend out through that heel. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. You can use blocks underneath the hands here if you'd like. Keep that back heel lifted straight in the right leg. So you're just coming into a straight-legged stretch, like a really long Parsvottanasana. Don't worry about the back heel finding the floor. Pull it up so that you can really press into that front foot. Lift the hips even higher. Turn your left hip forward more. Again, lift and widen the right hip. That's it. Nice, you guys. Really good. And then bend that right knee again, please, over the ankle. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Good. Widening that front knee so it points towards second or third toe. So funny. I taught warrior two on Thursday as my focus flow class. And I mentioned that what we do in warrior two is we fidget. So I'm just laughing as I watch you all fidget in warrior two. And I'm like, there it is. Fidget, fidget. And then take your gaze over your front fingertips like you mean it. Good. And then paying attention internally to that feeling of widening the inner knee. Keep the leg in that orientation. Straighten the thigh to come into triangle pose, but don't let that knee roll in or out. Just really keep that feeling of widening. Good. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Extend out through your side ribs. Reach towards the top of your mat. And then let the right hand touch down. Left arm to the sky. Kind of like if you have the ability to take that right forearm inside your shin or outside your shin, depending on where you are, but to have the ability to press the shin and the forearm against each other. So inner or outer is fine, but that feeling of, again, hugging. Good. And left arm reaches to the sky. Really nice. Long throat. Good, you guys. And then bend the right knee, please. Take your left hand to your left hip. Slide that right hand forward in front of you. You can keep a block under it if you'd like. Coming into Ardha Chandrasana, bring your weight onto that right heel. And then again, lifting through the inner thigh of that left leg, stack the left hip. You got it. And then once you're there, left arm can come to the sky if you'd like. Triangle pose on its side. Right? So feel that same squeeze of the legs towards each other. Bring that lifted foot slightly forward towards your belly so you can squeeze your right butt cheek back and wide. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bend that standing leg. Go ahead and step all the way back into warrior two. You got it. Cartwheel the arms back up. Really nice. Drop the left hand down, the back thigh, right palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Yeah. And then come all the way back up to center, please. Straighten the right leg, turn your right toes so they parallel your left. So you're in that wide stance facing the long edge of your mat. And then reach behind you, interlace your fingers. Good. Shrug the shoulders up, squeeze the upper arms, and then start to bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. Good. Nice, you guys. Squeezing the legs. Beautiful. Imagining if I said come up on the balls of your feet here that you could hold it without crash landing on your head. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Nice job. Walk your hands straight ahead of you into a long, wide downward facing dog. So just walk your hands straight ahead. Yeah. Nice. Confrontation does not mean that it has to be a fight. Durga never steps into a battle with the intention to be mean to or in any way disrespect what's standing in front of her. And every time she steps in saying, I simply will not allow you to continue to cause the pain that you're causing. Walk yourself back in, right? That's the resolve. That's why she's undefeated, because it's never about her. It's always about how do we bring you and I into the energy of peace. Walk yourself towards the front of your mat, turn the right toes, spin your back heel up, and then step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana with that back heel on the floor. Good. Nice, you guys. Scooping into the low belly, turn that left hip forward just a little bit more. Got it. And then a long breath, lift up onto your fingertips, lengthen your spine. So really get that sensation of pulling back through the tops of your thighs, but reaching your sternum forward. Good. And then exhale, bow deeply, walking the hands back behind your front heel. Good. Any amount that you can. You can turn the fingers to point back if that makes more sense to you. But you're walking yourself close in towards that front foot, fingers reaching back behind the heel. Good. Nice. And still with the hands where they are, look slightly forward, bend your right knee, and then lift yourself into standing split with your hands where they are, as close to where they are as they can be. So keep your hands back behind your heel as much as you can as you come into standing split. You got it. Nice, you guys. Turn those left toes down towards the floor. Excellent. Some of you might even play with taking your hands off the floor to reach for your ankle. Why not? You're already that deeply bent in. Yeah. Good. Beautiful, Janelle. You got it. And then release the hands forward, please. Step yourself back to lunge and then back to downward facing dog. Good. Take a deep breath in, please, and then drop down to the knees, child's pose. Your long awaited rest. You're like, she's got to do a vinyasa at some point. No, I don't. I don't have to do anything. Your breath get longer and deeper. My rebelliousness of living with a toddler, right? Is I get told what to do all the time. Here, I don't have to listen to anybody. Do what I want. I'm the teacher. I'm the mom. Just kidding. Find your breath, being that moment of relief, because that's the thing, right? Is that our mind is in that state of chaos through most of the day, most of our life. It's in that state of chaos. And so anything that we invite in that isn't trying to take the chaos and make it something else, but instead is allowing there to be the space for the chaos to reveal what its positive aspects are, what its peaceful aspects are. Those are the practices that carry us, right? Because we can do a lot of tapas, right? And that's what we call that heated kind of dealing with discomfort, right? We can keep looking for pain and we'll always find it. If you look for peace, you will still find it, but it's on the other side of pain, where that's not what you're clinging to, looking for, where that's not what matters, trying to defeat the pain. Peace is a state that includes pain. And we don't like that. We wanted to exclude that. Take one more deep breath. And walk your hands back up. Please come back to downward facing dog. This is part of what gets us in trouble with all of our interactions, right? Is we want peace to mean that things are primarily the way we want them to be and that there is not pain from our perspective. We try to win by making things work that way for us and others. So can you change your resolve to be one that says it's not about me, just about me? It's about finding the place where the chaos becomes peace. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Blocks under the hands if you'd like. Keep that back heel lifted straight in your left leg. So that long Parsvottanasana where you're not trying to bring the back heel to the floor, but instead you're pulling that heel up so that you get that sensation of, again, drawing the thigh bones up and into the pelvis. Good. Rotating that left butt cheek back and in. So you're sending your right hip spinning forward. Beautiful. Pressing through the big toe mound of the front foot. So legs really, really awake. Nice. Good, you guys. And then bend that left knee again, please, over the ankle. Drop the right heel. Baby toe parallels back of your mat. Come into warrior two. So shoulders come over your hips. Notice that maybe you fidget slightly less because now you know I'm watching. There you go. Perfect. And then notice that widening of the inner knee and the inner thigh. Good. And then keep that awareness as you straighten the leg for triangle pose. So start to straighten the leg. Your knee is still going to be in line with your second to third toe. Good. If that means that back hip has to spin forward, let it do that. And then reach through that left side rib. So extend towards the top of your mat. Let the left hand touch down, right arm to the sky. And again, if you have the ability to place that forearm up against your shin, that is my suggestion. So you still have the feeling of the hugging of the shin, and the pressing of the forearm gives you a reference for that hugging. Good. Nice, you guys. Good. Keep the back of the throat lifted, chin dropped slightly so you have a long throat. Really nice. And then bend the left knee. Please take your right hand to your right hip. Gaze comes down and forward. Slide that left hand beyond your foot and then step up onto that left leg. Right inner thigh lifts as you stack the right hip on top of the left. Ardha Chandrasana. So it's turning. Oh, do a breakdance move.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Ardha Chandrasana. Right hip stacked. It's like triangle pose just took a step forward, like it's turning almost halfway into a cartwheel, right? Good. Bring those right toes forward slightly towards your belly. That's it. And then open that chest just a little higher, wider. Really nice. Good, you guys. And then bend your standing knee. Step yourself all the way back to warrior two. So as that back foot finds the floor, knee over the ankle, arms wide. Good. Widen that front knee. Draw that left butt cheek in. A little more, Juliet. Draw the left butt cheek in. Good. And then drop the right hand down the back thigh. Left palm spins up and back. Reverse warrior. Good. Nice, you guys. Lifting that left hip point higher. Let your rib cage move backwards towards the wall so you get more stretch. Nice, Lena. And then come all the way back in towards center. Good. What the heck do I have you do here? Cartwheel the hands down to the floor, I believe. Spin your back heel up and then step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. I'm sure if I forgot something important, you'll let me know. Standing split comes after this. Yep. Yeah. No, that I remembered. I just couldn't, for a second, I was like, did I do something else there? I don't think so. Good. Right hip spins forward. Good. Really finding that squeeze of the leg. So even here, right, hamstring stretching, we often think of dropping in because we think that's going to give us a better stretch. But if the legs are not engaged, then it's like you're just yanking on the muscles instead of really teaching them how to be in an elongated state, right? Don't create pain for yourself unnecessarily, especially if it's just because your brain says, oh, I don't want to put in any more effort. If that's the reason, take a deep breath and remind yourself that everything that you do with this body matters, that this is your home. And if you go into your physical home and just, break windows because you don't feel like opening them, it's going to cause you trouble, right? Same thing with your body. Don't break your windows. Walk your hands back behind your heel. So start to move your chest towards that front leg. So any amount, walk your hands back. You can turn the hands to face backwards if that feels more natural. Good. But the idea is, again, you have to then reevaluate your weight distribution here, right? You got to pay a little bit more attention. And then with your hands right where they are or close to it, keep them as far back as you can. Bend that left knee, look slightly forward, and then shift your weight onto that left heel. Lift the right leg into standing split. Keep your hands back behind your heel as much as you can. Good. And no worries if they have to come forward from where they were. You're just trying to keep yourself as close and towards that front leg as possible. And then maybe some of you will take your hands to the back of your calf or your ankle, take the hands all the way off the floor. So the standing calf base. You're doing much more complicated there. So reach for the other ankle. Good. And then release the hands, please. Step yourself back to lunge. Come back to downward facing dog. I know. I was watching you. I'm like, where is she going with that?
Calf, ankle.
Calf, reach for something. Anything you can grab. Drop the knees to the floor, please. Do a little hip circling. Hands and knees, hip circling. Good. Then move your pelvis the other direction, please. Nice. Good. Then come back to stillness. Drop into child's pose, knees wide, big toes together to touch. Hips back to your heels. Nice. Why is it 9 nights to the goddess? Why is it 9 nights to Durga? Because in some of the stories, it took her 9 days, 9 nights to battle some of the demons. So you think of that resolve, right? That when we start a internal practice or we do that breathing exercise and your mind is all about it for the first 5 seconds, the first minute maybe. It says, yeah, I'm willing to sit here and just really observe my breath and observe what's in my mind. I'm okay with that. Then you get past that first minute and your mind says, okay, I'm bored. I'm not interested anymore. I'd like to go do something else. I'd like to think about something else. Those are the moments when, again, we are training ourselves to stay in that state of open acceptance, loving relationship with whatever is there, because that's a defense mechanism right there. I don't want to pay attention to this anymore. So in part of that process of going into meditation, it's called Pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from the outer world. It's getting rid of that tendency to say, every time inside feels like it's too hard, I run to something outside. So every time you don't do that, you sit with that irritation and that discomfort and you meet it with that acceptance, is that need to keep running to the outside becomes a little bit less. Transforms just a little bit. Walk yourself back up. Come to sit on your butt. Take your legs out wide. I was definitely talking about that on Thursday, is that we have this idea that we say transformation and we think it happens in a moment, right? Or that we want it to happen in a moment. It doesn't take a long time. It takes a long time for something to really transform. Legs nice and wide. Good. Press down through your heels, please, and drag back so your knees pop up. So you're in that wide straddle. Press down through your heels and drag back. So the tops of your thighs are engaged. You're not just bending your knees, but you're dragging back on your heels so that your thigh bones are sucking into the hip socket. Good. And then hands are in front of you so let your knees go even higher, Virginia. So really bend the knees. There you go. But don't let your knees fall all the way out here, you guys. Make sure that your inner thighs are rolling down towards the floor. That's it. So knees bent, more Faith, more Janelle, more Lena. Good, more Juliet. There you go. And then start to walk yourself forward with the knees bent. Keep drawing back on the thighs as you walk your hands forward. Good. Yeah, the idea is just to keep stabilizing that rotation of the hips, rotation of the thigh and the hip socket. So drag back on your heels, walk forward so that the stretch is really focused in the groin, not so much getting yanked on the hamstrings. Good. Nice, you guys. And then right where you are in that forward fold, root down through your hands, start to press your heels out to straighten the legs, but keep that feeling of trying to pull your thigh bones, press your butt back. So you're pressing your butt back as you extend your heels out to let the legs come to straight, still in that forward fold. Really good. You're like, I don't know what happened there. Walk yourself towards that right leg, please. Right forearm comes inside the right shin. Good. Left hand can come to your left hip. Turn your ribs. So turn that right shoulder under, left rib cage stacks on top. And then you can stretch the left arm over the ear here if you'd like, or keep the hand at your hip if that feels better for the shoulder. Good. Keep rooting down through your left butt cheek. Good. Draw your low rib cage back and in. So it's like you're trying to keep your ribs in line with your thigh. Beautiful. Good, you guys. And then release that hand back down into the forward fold. Walk yourself back towards center. You got it. Pause there for a moment. Actually feel that forward fold. Good. And then start to walk yourself towards the left forearm into the left inner shin. Good. Right hand can come to your right hip, turn that right rib cage open, and then either keep the hand where it is or stretch the arm over the ear. Good. Drawing your throat back. So again, this feeling of having your rib cage in line with your thigh. Draw the front ribs back, soften, and then drop into your seat a little bit more. Right butt cheek especially roots down. Good. What are your feet doing? You have no idea. There they are. Now your brain knows what your feet are doing. Yeah. Nice, you guys. One more breath, really lean. And then release that hand down, again, walking yourself back towards center, forward fold. Opportunity here, if you come pretty low in this stretch, is to reach your right hand for your right foot or ankle, left hand to left foot or ankle. So just reaching the arms wide, grabbing hold of something. And then an inhale, lift your chest up, lengthen your spine. So straight arms, long spine. Good. Pull the arm bones up and into the chest. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows, drag yourself deeper into the forward fold by holding onto your feet. Good. So you keep extending the chest forward. If you can, drop it all the way down to the floor. Go for it. Yeah, not your head. You're reaching with your chest here. Good. Nice, nice, nice. And then slowly release and unwind yourself. Come all the way back up. Good. Bend your knees, please. Bring the bottoms of the feet together into Vadakanasana. Funny is I wonder if any of you have figured out what pose we're leading up to. Bottoms of the feet together, please. Inhale the arms up to the sky. So you're pressing down through the baby toe edges of your feet. So you're really rooting down. Squeeze your knees up slightly. So as your knees come up, you press your sit bones down. So do both of those things. Don't just lift your knees, but push down into your seat. And then start to lean forward, take your forward fold, keep the arms alongside your ears. So extend out from your sacrum as long as you can. If your low back is already starting to round, pause right there. And then just keep lifting through that middle place of your back. So you want to imagine that that back edge of your sacrum is extending up and long, and you're pressing your tail back. That's it. Just work with that. One more breath with the arms up, and then release the hands to the floor. Good. Press down into your fingertips, drag backwards. So you still feel that isometric dragging of the arms in and the chest lifting. Try to get even more into that length of your middle back, all the way from the top of your sacrum, top of your back pelvis, through that draw line, right? All the way up to the shoulder blades. Good. And then release, exhale, bow forward all the way. Let your back round if you'd like. Yeah. Nice, you guys. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Cross the ankles, please. Roll forward onto hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Good. Take the right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat. Turn your toes. Prasarita Padottanasana. Moving your heels towards the back edge. So just move your heels backwards until they find that long edge of your mat. Good. So the opportunity here, so take your hands to your hips for a moment. Come up to stand. Good. Turn your feet wide into 45 degrees, both feet, and then bend your knees, come into a high squat. Good. So knees pointing towards the second toe of each foot. Good. Take your arms up into cactus arms, sort of your traditional goddess pose. Good. So the arms and the legs mirror each other, the widening of the inner knees. You lift the low belly, drop the tail, and then same thing, lift your elbows up in line with your armpits so that you have that long line across the top of your shoulders. And then bring your elbows slightly forward and lift your chest more. That's it. Good. Feel your feet. Nice. Excellent, you guys. Like you are both the earth and the sky. Beautiful. And then go ahead and straighten the legs, turn your toes to face forward again in that wide stance. Reach back behind you, interlace your fingers, shrug the shoulders up, hug the upper arms, then bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. Good. There's a reason why I have your heels at the back of your mat. Don't worry. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. So opportunity to come into frog pose here. So what that looks like is you're going to start to turn your feet wide, and you're going to start with one knee at a time. You're going to bend the knee, and you're going to bring that inner knee down towards the floor. So you have to actually turn towards that inside edge of your foot. Yep. Both knees bend. You got it. So you're in like that goddess pose, but facing the floor. So the knees come down, heels come in slightly, so they're straight back behind your heels. Good. So you're making like a 90-degree angle. You got it. Nice, you guys. And then walking the torso forward, hips are in line with your knees. Come forward into a forward fold. All right. So you should be on the inner edges, the big toe edges of your feet. You got it, Janelle. And then just walk yourself forward. Good. So Mark, turn your feet more if you can, so that the big toe edges of your feet are really against the floor. And if this pose does not work, really does not work, be honest with yourself. You can come back to goddess, or you can come onto your back and come into happy baby, right? But don't choose it just because you don't like this. Let your knees go as wide as you can, please. Good. Got it. And for some people, there's a slight difference between letting your hips come forward and pressing back. So if you feel more sensation in one direction, then stay there where you have sensation. If you feel no sensation in this pose, let me know. I will come make sure that your legs are still attached. Nice, you guys. And again, you're not here forever. Just take another couple of breaths. It's a good pose for contemplating how you approach things when they are difficult, when there's a lot of sensation. And acknowledging, right, what is pain that is not useful, right? Am I hurting my knees? Am I hurting my hips? And when sensation is just sensation, I can breathe with it. Walk yourself all the way back in. Nice. So coming up, right, you got to really press into your hands. You can start to wiggle the feet a little bit closer towards each other so you can tuck the toes and lift your hips. Come into that sort of wide-legged downward facing dog. Sometimes it's one leg at a time that you come up out of that. Good. Nice, you guys. And then walk the hands back in towards your feet. Walk to the top of your mat. Turn the toes. Step back to down dog. Good. Then drop your knees to the floor, please. Good. Take a child's pose, knees wide. Child's pose feels much better. Nice, guys. I like this image. It's mixing my metaphors a little bit, or going to another text in relation that's not specifically related to the goddess, but the Mandukya Upanishad, named for the frog. Probably heard me say this if you've been in class with me. But it's named for the frog because the frog sits on the edge of the pond, the edge of the water, which is the representation of our mind, our consciousness. And when the frog gets scared, what does it do? It jumps into the water. It jumps into water that might be dark and murky, and it has no idea what's in there, but it jumps. It goes in for protection. So we have this reminder that whatever we are seeking to try and attain, it's inside that you're going to find the ability to attain it. Walk yourself back up, please. Come to sit. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Nothing drastic, I promise. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Yeah, blanket underneath your seat if you'd like. Right leg stays extended. Draw your left knee in towards your chest, and then step that left foot over the right thigh. Yep, step it over. Foot flat to the floor. Good. Wrap the right arm around that knee, please. Take your left hand back behind you. Come into twist, spinal twist. Did I say that wrong? Right arm around your knee. Right arm, left hand back. Okay. Yeah. So drawing the thigh in. This should feel good, right? Because this is the opposite rotation of what you just did. Lift your chest a little higher. Send your butt up and back. Good. And then slowly release, come back to center, please. Unwind that leg, left leg comes straight in front of you. Bend the right knee, bring it in. Step it over the left thigh. And then left arm wraps around that knee, right hand comes back behind you. So you're twisting towards the knee, drawing the thigh up and in. Good. What's fun about poses like frog, right? Because you're not going to hold it for an extended period of time without props and lots of other things, is that you spend, the majority of the class preparing to do what, 5 breaths? This is kind of how transformation goes, right? Is you spend 9, years, 9 millennia preparing for that moment when you're like, oh, I'm on the other side of the transformation. And that moment of being on the other side of it is what we define as the transformation, when the transformation was actually the 9 millennia of whatever you did up to that point, right? So remember this when you're working with the energy of the goddess, is that it's not a flipping a switch. It's taking what's inside of you and saying, how do I take this chaos and find the way where it becomes peace? And maybe that means it takes 9 years, 9 repetitions of Navaratri, right? Come back to center, please. Unwind your legs. Good. Come onto your back. So if you're in the room with me, turn your heads to face the center of the room. At home, you do what you like. Come onto your back. Bend your knees. Please plant your feet. Good. And set your arms into robot arms. So elbows are bent, fingers up towards the ceiling. Rooting down through the upper arms. Press into your feet. Start to rise up into bridge pose. Good. So from the back of your heart rising up. Nice. And a long throat. Good. You guys hug the inner knees just a little bit. So again, softening if there was too much widening of the groins. Beautiful. Release the hips back down to the floor, please. Good. Make any adjustments that you need. You're coming back to the same pose. If you need to adjust your feet, your arms, go ahead. And then pressing into, again, resetting that feeling of pressing through the top ridge of your shoulder. So not just your elbows, but all the way up that line that is from the base of your neck across to the top of your shoulders. Root into that and then rise up into bridge. Good. So it should feel a little bit like that space of the back of the heart is lifting up through the front of your chest. Good. All right, bridge pose considered a preparation for shoulder stand. So you want to feel as though, right, from this position, one day you could go straight into shoulder stand. You're like, why would I want to do that? You don't have to. It's just knowing that you can. And then slowly release the hips back down to the floor. Right? Again, this concept of transformation, we think, oh, bridge and shoulder stand so far away from each other. No, they aren't. They're extensions of each other. One more bridge pose, make any adjustments that you need. Pressing down through the feet, pressing through that top ridge of the shoulders, rise up from the back of your heart and then through your pelvis, find bridge. The beauty of that is that when you know that they are extensions of each other, then you don't obsess about shoulder stand being something different. You say, if I want the energy of shoulder stand, but it's not useful for me, I go to bridge. I get the same thing, close to the same thing. And then you take one leg up to the sky in your bridge pose to again simulate that idea of I could put my legs up here. Keep lifting through my hips. And place that foot down, take the other leg up. Keep finding that ridge at the top of your shoulder. So if your weight is rolling towards just your elbows here, try to find it again at the top of your shoulders. Good. And then release that foot down, deep breath in with both hips lifted. And then slowly lower all the way. Good. Pause for a moment with the knees bent. Let your arms come overhead. Hold opposite wrists or elbows. Just let your pelvis find the floor. We joke and we say that the hips are the junk drawer, the emotional junk drawer, the place where all of our stuff that we don't want to look at gets sort of shoved. But guess what's connected to your hips, your groins? what's connected to your hips, your abdomen, your low belly, your intestines, right? That whole energetic center, that whole chakra. It's not just your hips where your thighs meet your pelvis. It's everything that's there. It's the source of our creativity, our creative thought, our creative action, our ability to imagine that there is something beyond what our mind has already come up with. And the name for that chakra, Svadhisthana, her abode, the abode of the self. Where we go to say, where does that energy of the goddess exist in me? Well, this is the first place where it rests, where it lives. So can you connect with it there in the middle of your junk drawer, where there's chaos, confusion? It is the solution. Good. Release your hands. Please take your right ankle over your left thigh and lift your left shin parallel to the floor. You can reach for the leg if you'd like, or just let the leg stay. Nice, you guys. Still finding the pelvis on the floor, even if the leg is lifted. Get in the chaos of that internal world, all the stuff that is unresolved. Can you inject kindness, love, acceptance? No intent to destroy anything, but to allow what's ready to be transformed to change. If we just stop holding the thoughts as they will change on their own. And then we get surprised what they change into because it's not what we would have chosen. That's okay. Good. Take one more breath where you are. Good. And then releasing that thigh, stretch your right leg all the way to take your right knee all the way on top of the left. So it's the same leg crossing. Just bring the knees on top of each other. Separate your feet, reach for your ankles or your shins, Gomukhasana legs. That's right. And one of the famous stories, of course, Durga is represented as being the one that all other forms of the goddess appear from. So as she's battling, there's certain demons that in her usual presence, she's like, I can't fight you, but Kali can. I can't fight you, but Lakshmi can. And you're like, Lakshmi fighting? Mm-hmm. Steps onto the battlefield. Saraswati can. Chandika can. Right? Dhumavati can. Tara can, so many different names, forms. You can go on and on and on. Unwind your legs, please. Squeeze the knees in. And then take your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Right shin parallels the floor. Reach through to hold the leg if you'd like, or just let the legs be where they are. In the battle, she actually gets accused of cheating. It's supposed to be a duel between her and these demons. They say, you said you were just going to fight as yourself. And she says, I am. All of this is me. Does you want me to prove it? In an instant, all of those forms disappear and it's just her, just Durga. So it's all me. So it's funny, right? We talk about that transformation and we say, well, what form of the goddess would you like? And we think to ourselves, oh, I really want this one because I like the way she looks, or I like the way that she seems, or I appreciate that sentiment. But when we really call on those energies and something else shows up, we're like, nope, we shut the door in its face, right? I don't want Kali. I want this. I want it to be the way I want it to be. So when love comes knocking at your door, whatever the face is, don't slam the door. Again, those energies will move through us, but only to the degree that you allow them. You have to know that those energies are you, all of them. So whatever is necessary, you have the resolve of that is what I will do. That is what I will work with. If that's what's required for peace, I will be Kali. I will be Saraswati. I will be Lakshmi. I will be Matangi. I will be Chinnamasta. Will be Dhumavati. I'll be all of them. Release the thigh. Bring your left knee on top of the right, separating the feet. Reach for the ankles or the shins. And again, there's lots of names and forms. So if they all sound confusing and you don't want to figure out who all of them are, then you just call on Durga because she's all of them. And whoever shows up, however she shows up, you accept that. I called, said, Mom, come help me. And she shows up with whatever you need. Good. Slowly unwind your legs. Please hug the knees in towards your chest. Beautiful. And then release the feet down to the floor. If you'd like to begin your Shavasana in Supine Vadakanasana, you can. If you feel like you want a final spinal twist, you're certainly welcome to take that. But start to find your Shavasana. So if you're letting the bottoms of the feet together and the knees drop wide in Vadakanasana, it might be nice to place blocks underneath the knees so it's a little bit more supported. If you prefer to just take the legs straight out in front of you, do that. And finding your breath getting long and deep. Very gently allow your breath to get deeper. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees back in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. As you come back to sit, bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. And bringing the hands together, again, we do it out of habit, but can you do it with the intention of staying really present with that ability to inject kindness, inject love into the space of your own mind? So that during Navaratri, what you're inviting in is this energy that's already in you, the capacity to love. It's already there. But you're waking it up not to throw at someone else, but you're waking it up to live through you completely. So we say we go to the pelvis as that space where the energy resides. And as it rises, you've heard of Kundalini rising, it absorbs everything else into it. So our whole thinking, our whole consciousness becomes absorbed in that energy of love, the energy, the resolve to find peace, create peace where there is chaos. And if that's what's moving through you on all levels, then everything you do in the world will be like Lakshmi. You touch it and it becomes gold. You touch it and it becomes peace. And everything that you do will be from that wisdom of Saraswati that says, I know that this is my soul moving through this world, that it's not just random actions. So this is the challenge, and this is the blessing of Navaratri, is that you get to work so deeply with what is already yours. And you get to know it as yourself and become absorbed in it. So yes, do the transformation. Do everything you would normally do that we say to do in Navaratri. Look at your habits, look at your routines, clean up your house, clean up your mind. But do it with the intention of loving yourself so deeply that there's nothing else. Don't do it because you think you're broken or wrong. Do it because Durga already loves you exactly as you are. And she says, and you can be so much more at peace. You can remember to be whole. And any step on the journey, she says, don't worry, you can't fail. That's her secret, is you cannot fail if she is what's moving with you. So every breath, it's Durga, her love, that love moving through you. Pretend it's hers so that you'll believe it. And then make it yours with every breath. Deep inhale for Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. I will see you when I see you. So you got 3 nights that are traditionally to Durga, then you can follow that with 3 nights to Lakshmi, 3 nights to Saraswati, or stick with Durga the whole time. No problem. Right? So I will see you guys soon. Oh,